you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can't see you. Now I can see you. Boy, can I see you.
What's going on?
Man, look at that room. That is the room dreams are made of, my friend. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. It's been a
I see
long
you have
time.
I see you have a stormtrooper. I have a couple of those too.
Yeah, I'm actually. This is Andy Black's house because I split up with my girlfriend and they're doing in the UK because we're locked down. You're allowed to do support bubbles if you're a single household, and he split up with his girlfriend. I split up with my girlfriend. So we thought we'd start our own version of a real life sitcom where two guys sort of move into a house together and we do podcasts with strangers.
You should move into it. You should move into an old age home, and you have to dress like Grampus every time you enter the lobby of the building. That would be a good sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, there's an old age home around the corner, and it's pretty sad seeing people sat outside talking through the window on mobile phones because they're not allowed in the old care homes anymore. So it's all a bit depressing, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
So right, firstly, just want to say thank you for your time, mate, because I know you must be a super busy guy. Because if you remember, there was a YouTube video you made me, and you were so guru that you had to make it while you were driving.
I do remember that.
So it's nice to have you actually sat down in a chair and
stationary,
not risking anyone's lives whilst talking to me. So that's great. So yeah, I appreciate your time. You and I, we go back sort of way back. Yeah, Warrior Forum days. I think we got to know each other personally when we first met when it was at the Manchester event. I think we met in person for the first time there. I think it was first and only time actually that we met in person. And then obviously you launched, which was and still is probably my favourite marketing book, The Chronic Marketer. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that before. So I'm really interested to talk to you, and there's a couple of others who I've spoken to already. As I'm sort of like I've always been a little bit of a fanboy of the guys who are outside of the launch circles who do, you know, cool things with great businesses that aren't very vocal about the main business, and they don't repeatedly launch
right
hit basically, which is what I was doing for a long time and have since quit that 1 a month habit. So that's good. So I know you've got Vector Tunes, and I hope we can dig a little deeper in today into a life of being a Brad Gosse, what a day is. So I know that you grew up in Ontario.
Yeah.
And I know you live in Toronto now, right? Is that
yes.
right? But you grew up, was it in Hamilton?
Yeah.
Okay, so would you
Hamill's slum, we call it.
Hamel slum, yeah, Hamel. It sounds like you're going to be describing somewhere pretty similar to where I grew up, to be fair. So would you mind telling me a bit about your early years, about where you lived, the kind of town it was, and also a little bit about the level of formal education that you got to, because I speak to a lot of guys in this industry, and it's like seems to be quite common that most didn't really sort of, you know, end up going to university. You guys call it college, or you know,
we call it university here too.
Oh yeah, because you're basically like a good mix between North American and English.
We took the best parts of both countries and made our own.
Yeah, every time I've made a point as well in some of my questions. Every time I'm going to ask you about something, I'm going to ask you about something. I've decided.
Oh no.
Yeah, I decided to do that.
We don't actually say it like that here. We say about.
I know, but they do in South Park, right? So
I know.
Where I got my Canadian, that's my Canadian knowledge.
Then my head should be splitting in half as I'm talking to you.
Yeah, egg-shaped head, yeah. So your early years, where you lived, you sort of as much as about your family life as you're prepared to go into, and what sort of your childhood was like, and then what level of education you got to.
Sure. I was an only child, so somewhat spoiled with attention and things. My parents were middle class. My mom was a nurse. My dad sold cars, and then they split when I was 10. And so my mom basically raised me after that. And we lived in a town called Hamilton, as you mentioned. Kind of a rough town. It was a steelworker town. So very, I got bullied a lot. And then let's see, I went to high school till 10th grade and then dropped out because I was just a bad kid,
So
just didn't.
10th grade is like, what age is that?
I would have been 17 when I dropped out of high school.
17. So that would, in the UK, that'd be the equivalent of you sort of like, we finished school at 16 and after that it's not compulsory. Well, it is now, but it wasn't in my day. So that would be like sort of, we would call that college. So you quit school at 17 and then you went to work. When you say a bad kid, you just mean you were bad academically or like you were getting into a lot of trouble?
Yes. both of those things.
Okay, yeah, pretty much the same as me. I left school at 15 because I pretty much just got politely asked to not come back for the remainder of the year. In my final year, except to come back to do the exams, which I then went and absolutely fucking aced them, even though I hadn't been in school since 16. So when I got my results, I could go like this to the teachers that kicked me out.
Didn't have to do the work at all,
which was a nice feeling. So after 17, what happened after 17?
I moved out on my own. I did some couch surfing for a while, and then I got a job in telemarketing.
Right.
Which, when you're a high school dropout with limited experience, that's kind of the only job you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I excelled at that job. I was amazingly good at it, like unbelievably good at it. Like, I mean, I could, it's one of those things where, like, I feel like I could still pick up the phone today and sell carpet cleaning.
Right.
And the company that I worked for had 16 offices across the country, and they promoted me to manager. I was 17.
17,
made me
17 manager. Wow. That's
they promoted me to manager, and I mean, it was a terrible experience. Like, it was like my own version of The Office UK, where like. Yeah, like, I mean, I was a terrible manager. I'm 17 years old. I have no idea what I'm doing. And
I can imagine, I can actually imagine you being, when somebody asks you what your, so the factory, they're the arms of the operation, the accounting, they're the brains of the operation. What's your role? I'd say I'm the humor.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm the testicles of the operation.
I'm the testicles,
And so I did that for a while, and then my dad kind of, coerced me into the family business. He had a furniture store that he had started after doing car sales for a number of years. He started a small furniture auction company, and then built it into a large store, and asked me to come and work with him. And I did that for a few years and realized I didn't want to do that either. But I learned. Working under my dad, I got a crash course in small business ownership.
Right. Okay.
3 years working with him, I learned everything I needed to know to run my own business. And so I got into selling porn, in online. The internet was just booming at that time. This was like mid-90s.
You should probably repeat that, because I know what that word was, but it was porn, right?
Adult entertainment, we'll call it.
Yeah. So you were because I do not know this about you. So you were one of like I would go as far as to say a pioneer, really, as far as chargeable pornography on the internet in the like little late 90s.
Yep.
Yeah. You were absolutely killing the adult media buying world.
Yeah.
Right. So I really want to know about that, because that is.
It was some of it. Simon was just right place, right time. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things that people, in the online guru world, they'll act like they had some plan, but a
Yeah.
lot of their success came from just being in the right place at the right time and made the right choices. And that, for me at that time, it was not about my business acumen or my skills. It was about, that was the thing. Everybody was getting a high speed internet connection and they
Yeah.
wanted to watch videos, and the only people providing videos were the ones selling porn.
So
So
you would have been buying, because in them days I guess there's very few, if any, self-serve platforms. So you were buying media buys in bulk, and then were you sending them? Was it actual pornography that you're selling, or was it like a sex toys website or something like that, or was it straight up
no, it was straight up
adult videos?
pictures and videos.
Right. Okay.
Back then the videos were short and tiny. They were postage stamp size. The 320. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they were digitizing videos from the 80s. But people wanted it because before that, people take this for granted now, right? Because we're like 25 years later.
Yeah.
But at that time, if you wanted to buy that kind of content, you had to pull your vehicle up to a place that had blacked out windows and a strobe light.
Yeah.
And then your car was seen outside this video store that everybody knew what the store was. And if your neighbors knew you didn't want that stigma attached to you. Yeah. So this provided a private experience for people, and it was so new.
So were you streaming, or were you shipping out DVDs?
No, streaming.
You were streaming. Okay, so
downloadable videos, not necessarily streaming, like they were just downloadable videos.
Right.
They could stream them, watch them, in the browser, but most people would just download them.
So in them days, because now obviously there are tons and tons of free porn sites, yeah. So you still see adverts on those which go to paid subscriptions. I imagine it must be an absolutely brutally hard sell these days. But in those days, there would have been less free sites. So what kind of sites were you able to actually even get your adverts on?
Well, I didn't really buy advertising. I was really good at search engine optimizing, and I was really good at spamming news groups. Just finding other places where the traffic already was, and kind of leeching off of those things.
Right. So it was more sort of like an overall traffic generation strategy, as opposed to like bulk media buying. Like saying you weren't paying CPM on say other sites. You were literally just going out there and spreading the word about your site.
Yeah.
Right. And that, I mean, what sort of levels are we talking that got to?
What do you mean?
Levels? Well, I don't want you to necessarily. I'd hate asking people numbers, but I mean, we're talking like you got that got to something. It must have got to something huge, and then obviously there would have been a decline, because there would have been a decline in, I imagine, for anybody doing that because of the explosion of free pornography. But were you like sort of at that time one of the number ones? Weren't you ranking on the first page of Google for the word porn at one point?
Number one, bouncing between number one and number two for 18 months.
In what year was this?
That would have been in 2007.
In 2007?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like 2001. So even in 2007, I was ranking just in the UK for the keyword electricians. And that took me 2 years to get. So porn on Google.com must have been like, I'm guessing there was a lot of, was there a lot of sort of black hat, like SE Newt type stuff going on there, or was it?
No, it was a lot of link trading. That industry was very connected to what they needed to do. So there were, every company like mine had a full-time link trader on staff who dealt with the link traders at the other companies, and they would exchange, if you had one site you were trying to rank, you owned 50 other sites that you would do blog trades with, where, you were giving away content and you trade, called it ABC trading. Like you got a site, your site links to my site,
Yeah.
but the site that I'm linking to you from is a different site, and it was a
Right.
it was a coordinated effort, and it was done in a way. I built a comprehensive database
Right.
because I taught myself to code. So I built this database that allowed the link trading to move more smoothly.
Wow. So it was relatively, considering the industry was porn, it was a relatively white hat SEO strategy, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's fascinating. Just put that even in them days, that if you really wanted to dominate for major search terms, then you still had to do it the correct way.
Yeah.
Right. So we've already talked about your early career. Then really, you didn't do very much in the way of traditional jobs apart from the family company, and then you moved into when did the porn start to decline? From pardon the pun.
2007, 2008.
2000, so
So
just because you hit number one.
it peaked and declined at the same time, because what happened was
That is a euphemism for my sex life, actually.
Oh, very good. The euphemism is for a lot of things, I think. Yeah. So from 2006 to 2008, I was at number one, and then in 2008, when the financial crash came,
yeah.
People immediately started canceling their memberships and started gravitating to the free content that was out there. And I saw the writing on the wall early on. If you look at this business that we're in, things that were once commoditized become free very quickly. When I first started in the late 90s, and you wanted calendar software, you had to buy it. You'd go to Staples and buy $50 calendar software, so you could have calendar.
You couldn't go to, like, say, Google Calendar and just it was that.
There was no free calendar, right? It's so silly when you think about it now.
It is,
but so all of those things get, they get to a place where that free line moves so quickly. And so in 2008, when I saw that happening, rather than doubling down and staying in that business, I said to myself, I've built this skill set. I know all these things. This knowledge is transferable to other things. I don't have to sell this stuff for the rest of my life. And I also felt like I was ready for the challenge, because, when you sell porn, you're not a marketer.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are business skills required, and you need to know what you're doing to be able to rank and get the traffic and handle the scaling and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the actual marketing part that's not a thing. Because if I show you,
because it sells itself.
Exactly. Yeah. If I show you a model and I say, you're going to see her naked when you give me some money, that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
I don't have to write any copy. You're not going to read it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very, I imagine it's also a very in the moment kind of thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's not that
impulse purchase.
I mean, I know there are addictions attached to it, but it's a compulsive purchase. It's a compulsive in the moment purchase. Interesting, because I had John Botel on the other day, and he deals in, I'm not sure if you know John or not, but I'm sure, no, John Botel. Well, he did a lot in the pharmaceutical, I call them pharmaceuticals, the health market. So, the direct sales pages, like the Garcia stuff and the raspberry ketones and all that kind of stuff. And the writing, he made a lot of money. So $90 million between 2010 and 2014. But he saw the writing on the wall. The reason their industry declined was not because they could get the stuff for free elsewhere. It was because of regulation. Yeah. So, like, all of these industries that were on the sort of on the edge of, not morality, because balls to morality, it's not my morality, but on the edge of regulation, they were all bound to at some point come down. So what
it was the three P's, the three P's: porn, poker, and pills.
Yeah. So you say that you realized that you could transfer those skills over, and it was around 2008. That was when I joined the Warrior Forum. So I imagine when you say transfer your skills, that was exactly where you saw them being transferred to going to teach other people how to do what you'd done. Am I right in thinking that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you went over to the Warrior Forum. So your transition from that industry to this one was, it's almost identical to mine, except we were just in different industries. I got good at local SEO, and then transferred into IM through that. You did SEO for other stuff and transferred in. So with the similarities there. So what did you start to do? Create courses, software? What was your next move after 2008?
Yeah, I started to create some courses, some WSO type products, ebooks and video courses, that kind of stuff. It started with a product that I did on the Warrior Forum where I taught people to, because one of the things that was kind of a crossover was dating. Yeah. And dating was always a big affiliate thing where you could push traffic to, whether you were selling adult or mainstream. Yeah. And so I was still selling dating, even though I wasn't in that space anymore. I still had, sites that sold dating. And so I did a course I called it Personality Cash, and how to sell dating signups, basically how to generate dating traffic. And it was like a really simple thing. And people were like blown away when they read it. They're like, oh, how did I not think of this? This is so cool. Yeah. And,
was it in those days? Was it still the or had it not come along by then? Was it still the days of usually a popover with some kind of like quiz, and then you would answer the quiz, and it would direct you to a registration form for a dating site, and that was a CPA sign up, or was it something? Or did you literally own the dating site?
No, I was an affiliate. For the dating sites, and I taught other people to be affiliates for the same site, and I had them sign up under me, so I made money if they made any money. And I kind of built this army of people, and I mean it was basic. I'll tell you what the hook was. We gave you a whole bunch of content of various girl faces that you could create these blog commenting profiles with, right? Like on Gravatar. And then you would go and comment on all these blogs and not say, go check out my profile or anything like that. You would just say, hey, that was a good article about, growing wheatgrass in my kitchen or whatever. Yeah. And then people would see that girl's face in the comment, and you could always click on their name and it would take you to their website. Right. And so then they would have a website, and we gave you the website. It was just like a one pager. Yeah. And it was like, check out my dating profile here. And so they'd have to go through a couple of clicks to get to it. So it felt more realistic and organic. And then I taught people to create like these Twitter search feeds for new blog posts. And so they would catch new blog posts like as they were going up, like up to the minute. The RSS feed would ping Twitter, and then you'd get it in your Twitter feed like a second later, and then you'd click on it and you'd be the first comment on that blog. Yeah. And sometimes the blog owner would be the one signing up to the dating site. I do similar things. I'm actually in the middle of creating a course at the moment, and that's just reminded me of a modern day version, a little tip for anybody watching this. But I think that strategy, what you just talked about there, that could actually still work even today. I think if you, let's say for example, I'm building out as part of a case study that's going to go in the membership area where this podcast will be. I'm doing a full case study from start to finish of me building up a fitness brand. And one of the things that I do, because getting followers on like Instagram and whatever else, like, in the past they taught you to, go and follow, and a certain percentage will follow you back, and then you unfollow the ones that don't, and blah, blah, blah. But what I actually do is I go to the big Instagram accounts in my industry, and I set turn notifications on for when they post. So I'll get a ping on my phone, and I will be the first person to like it, leave a comment, and say something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I'm talking about similar things to this on my page."
and then those like talking about pages with like millions of viewers, then my first top comment ends up getting in front of the eyes of like hundreds of thousands of people within the space of like, and that's a really fast way. But I still think even now, instead of, so you're talking about a picture of a hot woman as the dating as a gravatar picture, well, like a ripped guy going,
fitness model.
Going and commenting on, say, like a menshealth.com article, and then just literally someone just looking, well, how did that guy get like that? Linking to that, and his profile has got, so like these kind of strategies that we've been using for years.
They still work.
They still work today, and people create, like we see month after month people launching these shitty softwares that do absolutely useless tasks that nobody wants. But the old manual ones never gone away.
No.
And nobody ever talks about them except for older, smarter marketers like us sat here right now. It's weird
because you have to do the work. There's no autopilot.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. Unfortunately, that doesn't sell, does it? And that's probably why I've stopped launching, and probably why you've not launched for a long time. But you figured it out a lot quicker than I did. Sadly for me,
well, I stopped launching because I just didn't like the customers in that space. You know, right. The internet marketing customer was desperate and hungry and agitated and jaded and unreasonable.
Expected the world for $7.
And so I just, once I realized that, that's not where I want to spend my time. The last thing I want is I don't want to ever sell anything where a customer buys the thing and then tells me they're counting on the thing to pay their rent. Because that's just not how business works. Nothing goes up in a straight line. You're going to have bumps in the road. I don't know how skilled you are, all that kind of stuff. And so it just drained me dealing with those customers. And even when I had like an assistant doing all my customer service, some of it would trickle down to me, and it would just ruin me. And I just hated dealing with them. And so I realized quickly I needed to get out of that business.
Yeah, I've been terrible. I mean, I still do teach. I mean, even though I am moving into, I am creating these stores that I'm creating. I've been in ecom for years anyway, regardless of my whether it's launched or not. The reason I'm sticking with training is purely because I just enjoy passing the knowledge on that I've like acquired over the years. So even though I don't see myself as a launcher, I still like the idea of teaching people what I do and what works. So that's why I'm putting all this stuff into like a membership area, as opposed to into like individual products that I just launch, and then I want it to be somewhere, before my brain sort of loses all its power of me getting old and all the alcohol and drugs that I've taken ruin it, and I forget everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you describe your job now? What is it that you do for a living now? I don't need to ask you. I put how did you make the transition from your past career, but that's obvious. But what is it that you do now day to day? Like, I know you've got Vector Tunes, but like, is there what else? Is there anything else, or is it purely that?
Vector Tunes is somewhat of a passive business. Kind of runs itself now. My ex-wife basically runs it, and I'm there for some business development and some tech help. But other than that, I just kind of collect a paycheck from that company. But what I would say I do now is I'm a full-time comedian. I have built a following of 350,000 people on TikTok, and I've published 50 humor books. And
I didn't know this about you. What I was just about to say was, even though your involvement in Vector Tunes day to day is you're saying is very little. Are you, because of the humor side of things, are you still the guy? Do you still come those ones that you post on for Facebook? Do you still come up with the humor side of the business? Or are
Yeah.
they?
Well,
So are they just basically marketing tools, but marketing posts?
well, that's kind of how it started, right? Was I made some fake children's book covers
Yeah,
on
I know. I've seen them all.
using
They're absolutely hilarious.
vector tunes, and it was kind of just like, hey, this is a way you can use vector tunes. And those ads did okay, but they had more play with my friends than they had, on in advertising. And then my kids told me about TikTok,
Yeah,
and so I got on there, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting, and I've always dipped my toe in comedy in one way or
yeah,
another, and always liked humor and added it to use humor in my sales copy and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I thought, why not start creating some content on TikTok? And so my first, I don't know, 10 videos or so were crappy.
Right.
And then I made one video where I showed one of the book covers, and I just said, my name is Brad Gosse, and I write children's books, but they always get rejected by my publisher. What do you,
Yeah.
what do you, what do you think of this? And then I showed them the cover of a book called Why Daddy Hits Mommy.
Yeah, I remember that one. Sorry, I'm not. You probably see me playing with my phone here. What I'm doing is I'm gonna get your TikTok off you whilst I'm on this call. So I'm not ignoring it. I'm listening to you. I'm listening.
Yeah, cool. It's my name.
Yeah.
And then so that video on TikTok got like this was a year ago.
Yeah.
That video got 1.4 million views in 2 days.
1.4 million views in 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I am missing out on TikTok so much.
And I'm reading the comments of the video, and the comments are all the same. They're all saying, can you read this? You need to read this book to us. And I didn't write the book. I just made the cover.
Right.
And so, you got to listen to people, right? So I'm like, okay, well, they want me to write the book. So, I wrote out this like Dr. Seuss kind of rhyme book. And
did you actually write it, or did you?
I wrote it. Yeah.
You didn't have it ghostwritten. You actually sat and wrote.
No, I wrote it. I wrote it all.
Wow.
And
well, you did Chronic Marketer. Did you actually write that yourself as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I've just not got the patience for writing books as much as my.
I dictated it. I dictated that book. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're addicted.
That's the way to do it.
You're addicted.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a great dictator.
What's your TikTok?
Brad Gosse.
Literally, that's it. Just Brad.
Yeah. Brad Gosse.
Gosse.
And then so I read the book. I wrote it. I just wrote the rhymes, and then I read it, and then people were like, and then that video did really well. And then people said, well, I want to see the pictures. I want to see the book. And I didn't illustrate it, right? So I'm like, well, I guess I got to illustrate it now. So I started using Vector Tunes clip art, and I illustrated this book, Why Daddy Hits Mommy. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to illustrate it, I might as well publish it, right? Yeah. So I published it, and then I read it on TikTok, and they were like, I can buy this book.
So you literally sat down and did like the whole okay, now sit down, children.
It's story time. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And I read the book.
I can see why that exploded.
So now here I am 50 books later, and I basically, that's the model now, is I create a book, I publish it, and then I read it on TikTok, and then people go and buy it.
Right. So I'm gonna now we're starting to get into I've just got questions like flying through my mind. So publishing books. So you're talking again, are they physical books? Are they Kindles?
Physical books.
So do you how hard is that these days?
Easy. I do it through Amazon. I can do a book here in an hour. If I have a good idea and I have the art ready, I can have a book done in an hour. From the time, from the idea to like published on Amazon, takes about 24 hours. Like I upload it. It takes within the hour, it's uploaded to KDP, and then tomorrow it'll be for sale on Amazon.
And Amazon will print and ship those.
On demand,
on demand, and you don't. What about is there a minimum order quantity?
No, they publish, they ship, they print, and they have printers everywhere in the world, right? So if I'm in Canada, if someone orders my book in the US, that comes from that warehouse, they print it and ship it to them close by. If they're in the UK, it comes from a UK printer. And Amazon has all the logistics figured out. They just pay you a royalty on every book you sell, and they do all the rest.
And what's the? I mean, I'm going to look. I'm not going to do it live on this because obviously I'm going to be respectful of your time, and I've got another podcast in like an hour as well. Anyway, so but I'm going to look through them. But I mean, what's the quality of them like? I mean, because I work in. I've got one coming in the fitness niche, so I could see myself knocking up like a quick little book in the fitness niche, like say. Like motivational quotes, so the pictures and then the quotes, and if you just flick through, it's like a motivational quote book, like something that like that. Obviously, I'm just completely musing here, but you know, are they literally just like words on a page?
Hang on, I'll show you one. Hang on one second. So these are full color, front and back, and full color inside.
Well, so you literally go. So you go to your graphic designer. You write the words. How do you? Is there a set templated format way that you have to upload it to Amazon?
Well, they have a bunch of different size templates, so they'll give those to you. But yeah, basically, I write the words and I use Vector Tunes clip art to illustrate the books. Like I just find the pieces of clip art. Basically what happened was Vector Tunes I had this program where I was sponsoring YouTubers. So they would come to me and they'd be like, hey, I want to use your cartoons in my thumbnails or in my videos or whatever. And I'd say, sure, and they'd say, I don't have any money. And I'd say, okay, well, if you put in the description a link to Vector Tunes and a link to the pictures that you used and say, images courtesy Vector Tunes, I'll give you some store credit so that you can use my cartoons in your videos in exchange for promotional consideration. And I had been doing that for a couple of years. And then one day I thought to myself, well, what if I wanted to sponsor myself? What would I do, right? If I wanted to promote Vector Tunes and use Vector Tunes as if I were being sponsored like all these other people I was sponsoring, how could I do this in a way that would benefit me and the company at the same time? And this is kind of what I came up with was, so I've got this, I promote Vector Tunes on like everywhere, even in the books, like, Vector Tunes is a co-author of every book. They're listed on they're listed in the
So if let's say, for example, just again to talk about Vector Tunes and just to tie it into what I'm doing right now, because the people who'll be watching this will have been following the case study. So let's say I've got a fitness store and I wanted to create a book of motivational fitness quotes, and I wanted to illustrate them with Vector Tunes. Is that possible for me to go and sign up with you? But I guess I'm paying for some kind of commercial license, or there'll be a monthly fee or something. I guess with Vector Tunes, is there something?
No, you pay $5 a cartoon.
$5 a cartoon, so you get your book made. You get your book made. Are you allowed to edit them up at all, or
do whatever you want with them? Yeah.
You do what? Wow, that's such a great. Right. So then
we have a ton of fitness content already. So if you search fitness, you're going to find a whole bunch of different weight loss cartoons, a whole bunch of fitness model kind of cartoons already done. Yeah. So those are $5, and then if you want something custom drawn, it's $67 per character usually. Or you could use photographs. You could go to Unsplash or Pixabay or one of the other free places and use photographs in your book as well.
Yeah, which is what I was thinking. I was thinking about doing something like that. So, and then as far as so you could do the same with the thumbnails. You can. Did you say you put them under the Creative Commons, and as long people can use them in the thumbnails as long as they credit, or do they have to go back? So stop that now. They have to buy them to use on the thumbnails.
We don't have a Creative Commons license. We give you a direct commercial license to use the images. But when I sponsor people, that's a deal that's being made. Basically, they're being paid in images in exchange for making commercials. So that's a different situation. That's a sponsorship, because I know that like guys will come to me that have like a million YouTube subscribers, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, it's a no brainer to say yes, right?
Yeah,
To get the
okay, and
exposure.
okay, so I understand the difference there. Mine are starting out. So, do you, and do you offer, as opposed to paying $5 per? Do you offer any subscription models where you get access to everything? Or
I
is
haven't done that. I've tried selling that in the past, and it's
yeah,
always been difficult to sell
really?
subscriptions to that. Yeah, it's my business. That VectorTune's business model is we have 4 million images in our catalog,
Yeah,
right? So what happens is, you know, every hour or every, you know, actually every few minutes, someone finds one of our images through Google Images.
right.
And so they, you know, usually, you know, imagine it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, you're working on a PowerPoint and
You need it now.
you need that cartoon of that person, you know,
Yeah,
going through the stages of weight loss, and you find it on our site, and it's like $5, you get it right
yeah,
now,
yeah,
and now your project's done.
yeah,
And that's been the model the whole time.
yeah.
You know, is to have basically have the images in the search results, and it's
Yeah.
always worked well.
I suppose because it's different. Because I mean, I pay like say for Envato Elements each month because I make so much video that it's
Yeah,
well worth it for me to have access to everything. But yeah, I can see why for you, especially when someone needs something, they type something and they find yours, they just pay $5, and then that must be happening hundreds of times a day. So I can
yeah.
see it. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to write some books now, and it's because of this conversation with you. So thank you for that. That's
Cool.
and I'm sure that'll inspire quite a lot of other people as well. And right, okay. So then, I never intended on asking you any of this because I didn't even know about it. Have you done anything specific to grow your TikTok following other than just posting funny stuff?
Um, Basically, I think I've posted about 800 videos so far to TikTok.
Yeah.
And so it
And
really
you've
just
got
does.
6.7 million likes on your, which
Yeah.
is absolutely insane. So yeah, so you post like funny little stories, or you read the story of the book that you just wrote, and then
Yeah, I read the books
you basically
usually.
just leave it to TikTok to put it in front of them, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do TikTok even have an advertising platform? I'm not sure if they even do.
They do, but I haven't used it.
Right, so you've not needed to. So these literally people just share them. They find them funny, and you've just grown. How long has it taken you to get to that?
1 year. I started
1
in
year.
November. I started November last year.
Wow, that's amazing. And I didn't even know about it. You don't post, you don't talk. I don't think I've ever seen you talk about it on Facebook. Maybe you have, and I've just missed it. But
I
that's
have mentioned it once or twice,
yeah,
and I usually post my YouTube videos on Facebook because the TikTok gets a little bit less action.
right,
Um,
yeah.
but I have mentioned it on Facebook a couple
Wow.
times.
Right. Well, that is absolutely incredible. So, with that in mind, so now you call yourself a comedian because this is your basically your job. And aside from, if it's too personal, it's okay. You don't have to answer. But aside from, um, sending traffic, I'm assuming directly to Vector Tunes from there. How else is that TikTok monetized?
Well, the TikTok is monetized through the book sales,
Through
right?
the book sales.
So I have 50 books, and if I read a book on TikTok, like if I read you the whole book,
Yeah.
you'll go and buy it as a gift because it's only $10.
Right.
And so
That was the other thing. So 10 books, and how much did Amazon take on books?
I end up getting, I think, about just over $1.80 a book or something like that. It's
Yeah.
not
So
much.
yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's the same with FBA really. But it's a numbers game, and it takes like once you make it once, it's there forever. And
Yeah.
it's a number. It's a
I'm
numbers
not
game.
selling the books to make money. I mean,
Yeah.
I make money selling books, but
Yeah.
that's not really. And I also have these like, so what I do is every time I've done like a number of books, I'll put a compilation together. So this is 14 books in one, and it's like way bigger. And so
Yeah.
this book is $50 American.
Yeah.
And I think I make $10 when one of these sells. So
Right.
actually, if you bought all 14 books, I'd make more money, but you know,
Yeah.
I make more per book on these. And, I don't really do the book sales for the money. If I
Yeah,
did, I'd charge more for them. I
yeah,
price them. I price them so that they're easy to purchase. It's a
yeah,
cheap
yeah. Of
gift.
course, yeah, yeah.
Secret Santa, fun joke gift, gag
And
gift, whatever you want to, a lot of people buy books like Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe as a gift,
I've
or like,
seen them.
you know,
They're incredible.
um,
When you posted some, I mean, you are pretty close to the bone with them, and I've had some ideas myself of some titles that I mean, the sky is the limit. What you did with that brand, I just absolutely love. It's just so up my street. It's like a mashup of all my favorite comedians, like Bill Burr, Ricky Gervais, and it combines it with like just this childish sort of Peter Pan, never growing. I just love it. I just think it's such an absolutely brilliant brand. So do you do any list building from TikTok, or
yep.
you do?
Oh yeah,
How does
dude, I'm
TikTok?
still a marketer. I'm
Yeah,
still a marketer.
so how does TikTok work with links? So you post a video on TikTok. Can you link out of TikTok?
You
No.
can you can link out from your profile with TikTok.
So similar. So
Um,
it works in a similar way to Instagram then.
Yeah, very similar to Instagram. They'd
Okay.
have to click the link in your bio, and I use Linktree, which is a pretty popular thing now on social media. I pay for it,
I'm
but
looking at it as we speak.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can get it for free. But Linktree allows you to have kind of a stack of links that people can choose from.
Right.
And so what I did was I set mine up as like a 1, 2, 3, 4, like ones,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, check out my books or subscribe to my YouTube. Number 2, get my free book.
Yeah.
That's where I get your email address.
Yeah.
Because what happened was I had one book that did really well on TikTok, and it was selling like 100 copies a day on Amazon,
Yeah.
called Camp Coronavirus. And then they took it down when the coronavirus lockdown came in March.
Yeah.
They took the book off, and they wouldn't
Yeah.
tell me why. They just blocked the book from selling.
Yeah.
And so I made a big deal about it on TikTok. I'm like, this book got banned, and everybody was like, how do I get it? How do I get it? So I like put the PDF up on Gumroad, and I said, pay what you want. It's $0, or if you want to make a donation to me, you can.
Yeah.
And I think I've made, I don't know, maybe $1,000 off of donations on that book. But then I get a number of people. That's actually a really good tip, by the way. If you're for the people who are listening to this, who are internet marketers, who are getting bored with all this comedy talk. Giving things away for free and charging for things, these two things are less likely to get people to jump versus name your price. If you come in with name your price and one of those prices is $0, if you actually, and people, what will happen is people will put in $0 just to see if they can get it, just to see if they can get through without being charged. And when they do,
are you talking about like a lead magnet?
To get leads, to get leads, rather than saying get my free book or pay for my book for $1, say pay what you want, even $0, to download this book. And then Gumroad has this option, right, where you can just go and put in your price. And you put in $0, and there's no credit card asked for, but if you put in $1, you got to check out. And so a lot of people will put in $5 or $10 because they feel cheap putting in $0. And then a lot of people will put in $0 because they can't believe that they're going to be able to. So the gimmick of it actually creates more excitement than one or the other.
You just give me such a fantastic idea, right? So I don't mind revealing, like, one of the things back to marketing, the fitness brand, because because I've focused on the lead gen page that I've been working on for the fitness brand is a kettlebell workout routine. And the guy that I got to make the actual course, the training course, because obviously I'm built like a butcher's pencil, whereas he's you would be me. I will be sending you my you can have free access. But no, I should have hired you instead. I basically hired this fitness model, and I paid him to create me a training program of kettlebells, and I give that away for free. Now, because I'm finding that 85% of the people that are hitting that page are men, I still want to hit women. So I'm going to Pinterest, and what my plan was to do was to go to the yoga market, and I found this other woman, and she's going to create me a 3-hour split up like a course, and I also wanted to provide free plus shipping for a yoga mat, a gym ball, and a resistance band, which are the things that she uses in the training, and I was going to do it free plus shipping. But what I might actually do is I might actually do what you've just mentioned, which is I might actually say they are free. This is what the shipping costs, but you could put, you know, to try and sort of like test this mindset out. I mean, obviously, the only difficulty there would be is if someone put no, it would cost me a little bit of money. But the shipping,
But you could just say name your price and then make it a $5 minimum. You can make a minimum of any amount, right?
Yeah,
So I make a minimum 0 on a lead magnet, but you could say $5, $10 is a minimum, and then they can put in whatever they want. You know, that might be a strategy. But if I were you, I would do that on the training videos. I would say name your price on the downloadable training videos.
Right. Actually, that's not a bad idea. So I can say, free plus, that could be the funnel. So you put the email and then free plus shipping on the yoga set. And then if you want to add the video, add the videos, name your price from 0 to whatever you want.
Yeah.
And what do you use to do this?
Gumroad.
You put it on Gumroad.
Yeah, they have the best platform for. If you want to sell downloadables online, they have the best platform.
Well, I mean,
it's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I have a store and I use WooCommerce, so obviously the physical stuff would be on there anyway, and I can offer downloadable stuff on that site, but there's no option for name your price on WooCommerce. So yeah, I think I might do that. I think I might link to Gumroad from.
You can embed that Gumroad like product in your WooCommerce page.
Can you really do that?
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's amazing. Right, so we've learned something new. So before I've even finished creating this course, Brad Gosse has just contributed to it. So that's fantastic. Thanks a lot. Right, so what do you see as the future for VexiTunes and the direction of your own overall business, like the comedy, or what you see yourself doing in the future?
Sorry about that. My computer just froze, and it was like a CD skipping. It was like you said. So we've look. It was just
okay. So basically, what I said there was, so we've learned something from this podcast that is actually going to be included in the course. That's going to be in the very members area where this is going to be included, contributed by the one and only Brad Gosse. So thanks a lot for that. Okay, so back to the questions then. So my next question was, what do you see? So you've got VexiTunes, which kind of handles itself, and your role is being you, a comedian. You know, you can call it a comedian. I would just call it being Brad Gosse is your job, really. But what do you see as the future for both VexiTunes and your overall business model and your life in general?
For me, it's going to be, you know, trying to do more and more comedy. I would like to live in a world where I can make a living, not a, you know, a good living, like a very good living.
Yeah.
Making people laugh.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
You've been on stage, right? You've been on stage, right?
Yeah, I've done some stand-up.
You've done some open mic nights. I remember seeing and reading on your Facebook that you've done that. Yeah, I mean, the sense of humor is clearly there. I mean, I suppose it's just a case of, 350,000 people on TikTok is a lot of people, so I guess it's just a matter of time. So, what are you talking like? Are we going to be seeing a Netflix special?
I would love that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. How do you find going on stage? I mean, do you still get nerves, or do you just love it?
I love it.
You love it.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I always have, even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, I've always craved an audience and craved attention, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I like it, and you know, it feeds me. And you know, and I adapt very quickly when the audience is responding and laughing. I'm able to kind of tune in on what's working and what isn't in real time, and go in that direction. And I discovered it through speaking at conferences, internet marketing conferences. You know, early on, I recognized that I had a value coming to that industry by saying that I came from the adult entertainment world.
Yeah.
That kind of propelled me into fame sort of instantly in that
It's a
space.
story, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
I kind of dropped in with guru status because I came from that world with good credentials.
Yeah.
And so I was very comfortable on the stage because I always felt like I had something to teach. I had something that you could learn from me. But then once I was up there, I also had a lot of fun making jokes and making people laugh. And that's why I said, okay, I want to learn stand up. So I took a stand up. I went to Second City and I took a stand up course and kind of, and then they teach you, how to kind of put material together, how to craft an open mic routine. And then they give you a spot in an open mic, which in Toronto is actually hard to get. So they give you a spot in a showcase, and you get to do your stand up. And once I got a taste of, up until then, every time I stood on stage, it was because I had knowledge to share. And then in that moment, I had to just show up and entertain you. I'm not teaching you anymore. This is 100% entertainment. And that's where it was like, oh my God, I can just do this. I could just do the funny part. I don't have to do the teaching part.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my experience, I mean, although I come across like quite comfortable on video and certain and one-on-one, and I do a lot of training, but I'm not afraid to admit that I am absolutely petrified of public speaking. And I don't know if you remember the story, but the Manchester event, I spoke at the Manchester event. And the story was that like most things in my life, because I've lived with ADHD for like 36 years before anybody even realized. Well, they all knew, but just didn't do anything about it. So I left everything till the last minute, and I was doing my slides and everything the night before on my iPad. And because I knew that I was going to need quite a lot of prompting, I basically just put bullets on my slides, and then I had notes which were almost a script that were hidden in the satellite reader's notes. And then when I got up there and plugged the iPad in, and everything was good and it all looked ready to go, and I looked down and the notes were gone. There was no notes there. All that was left was bullets. And literally the world fell out of my ass, and I was so nervous, and it just kind of, I got through it, and everyone seemed to respond to it pretty well. Like you do, you kind of, so it's never as bad as you think, but it's really put me off speaking. So I think podcast is probably about as close as I'll get to public speaking.
The reality is that you never needed the notes. You only needed the bullets.
Well, yeah,
that was reality, the funny part, right?
In reality,
that's all you ever needed.
I know, because but there was the notes. If I could go back and get them now, if you could see the bullets, some of them were literally a word.
But that's how I did all my talks when I stopped doing PowerPoints after a while, because I just realized it was better without slides.
I know.
But when I did slides, the bullets were always one word or a couple of words. They were just there to trigger, okay, that's my next talking point. Yeah. And I never scripted it because I knew the talking point. So the talk was always conversational. The bullet would come up. Okay, I know this is my next topic. And then I would just talk.
Yeah.
And that I found worked better than trying to figure out the order of the words and exactly where I was going to say the thing.
It's funny because I've got sort of 40 I'm booked up with these podcasts until May now. Like the videos guys wanted to book in yesterday, and the next available date was like the 12th of February. So I've had tons, and the only person who answered the question, where should I send the questions? Because I wanted to sort of like, not surprise anybody with any like questions that they might be upset with or offended by. And the only person who said, don't bother sending me the questions, I'm much better just going off the cuff, was you. Actually, everyone else has wanted to see the questions. Anyway, we are kind of pushed a little bit for time, unfortunately, but so really now, I just want to know, with the level that you are, like how successful you've been over the years. What do your daily routines look like? So what, as far as like what time you go to bed, like you get up in the morning, do you have any things that you do religiously, habits? I don't mean religiously as in like religion, I mean like things you do, you know, repeatedly. How do you stay organized? Like, do you use tools? Because I know you must manage a lot of teams, and so like, how does your day look?
I have no success habits.
Right. Okay.
I have no routine. I I I, uh, I drink coffee. That's like the only thing I do religiously. I
Smoke pot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
religiously.
So there's
That's
all
part of
that.
the routine. That's
So
part of
you
the
don't. So
routine.
you don't have a. So you don't have like what about the old early to bed, early to rise? So like what do you get up when basically just get up when you want?
Well, I usually get up. My girlfriend has a day job. She works from home, and so she gets up at the same time every day. I get up with her, so
Right.
that's 8:30. But
so not particularly early, really. It's like a
or
general.
no, sorry, that's a quarter to 8. We get up.
Right.
She starts work at 8:30.
Yeah.
But you know, when I lived on my own, I slept in some mornings but I naturally get up early anyway. Like even on a weekend, I'll just kind of wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Me too these days. I never used to, but now I do. Yeah.
But there's no routine. There's no like I have to go to bed at this hour. I don't eat after this. I don't follow any rules.
Right.
Some nights I'm.
Well, what about managing your tasks then? Like say your daily tasks or your goals or staying organized with just regards to what needs to be done.
So I don't have a lot of daily tasks.
Right. It sounds like you have pretty much the perfect life, really. Like, make a crap load of money. You got hundreds of thousands of people who love you and love you what you do, and you can do whatever the hell you want whenever you want it.
Yes. It's one of those things where like I'm just not a routine person.
Yeah.
I've tried to be. Yeah. And I have over my lifetime, I have had fitness routines, meditation routines, wake up and sleep routines. I've tried it all.
Yeah.
But I find that usually when I'm doing them, I'm like the biggest preacher. Oh, you got to meditate every morning. You got to get up in the morning. First thing you got to do is you got to have some stillness, or you're not going to have, when I'm in the middle of the habit, I'm the preacher of the habit. Oh, you got to drink apple cider vinegar every night, or you're going to, whatever it is. Right. But then, like, once I stop doing the thing, it's just forgotten, right? Yeah. And so, I've learned that those things can be helpful for some people, but I am a chaotic mess.
Yeah.
Like I'm not organized. So like tools that I use to stay organized, I are other people. Like I don't, I'm not a.
So as far as like say, I don't know, say there was, I'm assuming you've got to manage a lot of artists, I guess. Do you have any do you have like team? Do you have developers? Do you need much in the way of development you won't really need much development, I imagine.
Yeah, my partner handles that side of the business, right. So I don't manage employees. I used to, but I don't anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
So on the comedy side, it's just me and Vector Tunes and one artist that I've brought in to work for me personally to draw custom stuff. Like, cause I do a lot of custom images. Like I have this whole series called Dead Babies. So like I have these like dead babies phone cases and stuff. And like, it was funny. Like people were like, oh, you should make Dead Babies merch and autograph it. I'm like, but I didn't draw the dead babies. They're like, we don't care. They're your dead babies. I said, okay. So I did like this autographed poster sale on Gumroad. I sold a whole bunch of autographed Dead Babies posters. And so I have an artist that's the only thing I manage is the artist. And then everything else is like, I have templates like for the book writing, I built a template so that the next books are just like, okay, drag and drop, and so I do automate. I'm a coder, so I can automate a lot of my workflow and I can automate a lot of the things that I do. But in terms of like and there's like nothing that I could say other than having coffee and those are like the only things that are like part of a routine, and I wouldn't even call those a routine as much as they are a habit or an addiction. I don't exercise. I don't eat well.
You don't exercise. You don't eat. You don't exercise. You don't eat well.
No.
You are honest. I'll give you that. I mean, I guess for me, I found that I had no choice. I mean, I had a very chaotic lifestyle, and it started costing me big time, and it came also as well for me. Unfortunately, it came with some mental health issues and addiction and that kind of stuff. So, and in the end, I ended up finding that I really had no choice. And like the routines of me, like getting up in the morning at 6 a.m., doing a little bit of a workout, and making sure that I'm keeping myself organized with my tasks. It's the only way I've been able to actually get anywhere close to the version I was of myself when I first got into this industry. And it was this industry sort of really that sort of eventually started to bring the worst out in me because I was allowed to do what I want, and I did come from like a council estate, and I in the end I ended up having no choice but to. And I hope one day I get to the point where again I can, I don't have to. But at the moment, if I want to complete what I want to give back to the world now, I've got to stay organized. Otherwise, I just won't get it done. So
it's funny because I think everybody's different, right? And I think you have to figure out what you are.
Yeah.
Some people need structure and need routines and need habits, and then other people maybe don't. But at the same time, it's like there's this idea that the grass is greener for the other person. So in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking to myself, which is ridiculous because I know the front of my brain knows the truth, but the back of my brain is always saying to me, if you made habits and followed through on some routines, you'd be more successful.
Yeah.
But then when I do those, when I get into those routines, I long for the freedom of just being able to embrace a burst of brilliance and drop everything and do the thing that I want to do, rather than, oh no, this is my exercise time. But it's like, no, I feel like making a video right now, or no, I want to write, or I want to do this other thing. And then the routine part of me is like, no, this is exercise time. You're your best client. You have this appointment with yourself. Don't blow this.
Yeah.
And so there's that, you're always wrestling, right? Like one of my good friends, Justin Popovich, he's the opposite of me.
Yeah.
And he's successful, but he lives in a box of routines, right? I mean, he's up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He does CrossFit. He goes for runs and hikes and, shows look, I ran 300 miles today or whatever it is. He's, you know what I mean? It's just like, he is like, because he has he has his kids and he has his routine and he has to pick them up and drop all the things that he has to do. And so he builds his productivity around the obligations in his life. And he's like one of the best people I know at doing that. Yeah. And it's almost, it's like, I look at it with awe and envy at the same time. Because I'm like, wow, but then I realized that works for him because he needs to discipline himself to structure the time.
Yeah.
I don't need to discipline myself to structure the time. So for me, the difference is I can be fluid. Like, this is the only thing on my calendar today, this podcast.
Right. Yeah.
The rest of the day is open for whatever comes to mind. And that like last night, I saw a comment on TikTok and, I had nothing else happening in that moment. And so I just ran into the bathroom and I made a video in the mirror. And that video now has 40,000 views this morning. And, I did that because I wasn't structured.
Yeah.
Right. And if I had something structured at that hour, I might think of that video idea, but then not ever do it.
So I think you could probably say that you're clearly a creative person, and it appears to me that creativity has completely overtaken your life. Like that is what every aspect of your life is about, being creative. And when you've got to create, when you feel like you've got to create, you've got to stop everything and you've got to create, haven't you? I suppose. I mean, like, which is it's an envious position to be in. What would you say is your number one achievement in your work life and your personal life?
Freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
That's the number one achievement. That's the whole reason why I became an entrepreneur, and that's what scares me and motivates me all at the same time.
Losing
maintaining the freedom that I've built over the last 20 years, and you know, I love my life right now. You know, I live with my girlfriend and 2 kids, and we have a great life. And you know, I'm grateful to have that, and I'm also grateful to have the freedom that I have to be able to live this life and enjoy it, you know, and stop to do things that matter, you know, in between, and then go back to being creative. And I love that.
Yeah.
It gives me a balance, because, you know, before, you know, it was almost all work and no fun. And now I have a personal life and you know,
I am only
a family and something that I you know, like something I can hold on to and enjoy.
Unfortunately, I figured that out. Well, you know, it's never too late. But unfortunately, I figured that out. That balance. I put work over everything for a long time, which you know, affected everything. My relationships, unfortunately, has resulted in a failed relationship. And
same here.
Yeah, and you know, I think when you know, myself and Andy Black, who I'm staying with Andy Black at the moment, because you know, I explained to you at the beginning, the support bubble thing. We used to have this joke when we used to go to events. We used to have this joke where we'd be saying to our wives, you know, I'm going to Fuerteventura. I've got to go to Florida. I'm doing this. I work my fingers to the bone to the bone for this family. You know, and really what we were doing was we were using our work as an excuse, really, to sort of avoid the responsibilities of real life, really. That's how it was for me anyway. I just focused entirely on work and put that above everything, and then made it sort of come across as though I was doing it for everybody else. You know, I'm doing this for you. When in reality, I was doing it because I wanted to be seen as successful at what I was doing, and I was prepared to sacrifice everything for it. And in the end, I did. So, bit of a bummer, but there you go. It seems to be like mid to late 30s where people seem to figure this stuff out and then grow as people. So finally, because we're going to have to cut it short, I'm afraid, because I've got my last one in another 15 minutes, and then I've got a train to get because I've got to go to as you said, we have to rearrange. I've got a hospital appointment tomorrow. So what advice would you give to anybody starting out in online marketing today? Because obviously when we started, I mean, put the porn industry aside, when we started on the Warrior Forum 2008, 2009, 2010, you could put up no affiliates before there was even an affiliate platform, before JVZoo, before Warrior Plus. You could put an offer up on there, give away 1,000 copies, then you've got an email list, then you can send them to, like, that kind of thing is just practically impossible now. What advice would you give to someone today if they wanted to get started in the online marketing world?
I don't think it's impossible. I think it's just shifted away from that way of doing things. And I think you have to look at your audience, not your list.
Yeah.
It's not about getting email addresses. I mean, if I count the number of email addresses I have compared to the number of followers I have is poor.
Yeah.
But the audience is all that matters.
Yeah.
And so if you're built, you know, to use that same metaphor, I could get 1,000 followers on TikTok on a brand new account in a couple of days.
Do you think you could? Because
I know I could. I mean, my good friend E. Brian Rose, he just got on TikTok like
well, how would you like
a month ago.
How would you like to do a little? Because there's two things that you get that you've two golden nuggets that you've given me personally from this podcast. One of them is using Gumroad that I'm going to use in this because I want to get into the female fitness market. And I'm going to hit with yoga. I'm going to use Gumroad, so that I can figure that out myself. However, I have completely neglected TikTok, and what I was thinking of doing was creating, because I don't want that type of fitness account where it's look how because well, first of all, I'm not ripped.
Right.
I want to take the piss out of people, out of fitness people, the funny side of fitness.
Great.
So a comedy fitness. So like, and I want to come up with, and I want to use vector tunes, and I want to turn them into. So it's fitness quotes, but comedy. So if what about if we set up some kind of little challenge? Like after this, I have to do another podcast, and then I have to travel back to my hometown for a couple of days. So how would you feel about us doing a little case study together on a comedy fitness TikTok? I'll be the face of it. I'll do the talking. I'll use vector tunes, and I'll obviously credit that and promote that in everything, so hopefully send some customers and whatever else. And I'll also make YouTube videos explaining how I've done it, which will go on my channel. So there's a bit of like a cross promo there, but because I've got zero TikTok experience, how would you feel about giving me a few tips on that?
Yeah, of course, happy to.
Should we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. So I think that is pretty much about the perfect time to end this. So what I'll say to somebody watching this is, stay tuned. We're gonna do this. We'll case study it, and I'll put some videos together, and maybe me and you could hook up for another podcast in the future and recap where I've got to with this at the moment non-existing TikTok channel, and see where we're
awesome. Let's do it.
Perfect. Right, Brad, as always, mate, it was great to meet you. I'm a massive fan of yours in more ways than one. Not just your comedy, but as a person, and we've always gotten along really well, I feel. So it was a pleasure chatting to you, and I really hope we can do it again soon.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Lovely. Cheers. Speak to you again soon, mate. Have a good day. See you later.
You too.
Bye then. Bye.